Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the hope of the elect. All right, so Mexico is making the digital ID mandatory for all its citizens by February of next year, which is a couple months away. All right, which lets it's coming to the States as well. All right, with all the illegal immigrant talk. That's the way they're going to push it. Safety, all the means of e-source media to, bring forth some new way of living. All right, but this is just a simple AI overview. It says Mexico is mandating a biometric digital ID, the unique population registry code, which will be mandatory for all citizens by February 2026. This new ID will integrate biometric data like fingerprints and iris scans into digital format. All right. The eye scan, of course, the fingerprint. All right, being a part of this digital ID, all right, Esau is trying to pull his transhumanism, man. All right, which will eventually become the implantable device mentioned in Revelation 13:16 on down. It says this new ID will integrate biometric data like fingerprints and iris scans into digital format, which will be used for accessing a wide range of services and transactions. All right, the key word being transactions. Because digital ID, which will, which is a precursor, all right, a prelude to the M.O.T.B, which is the implantable device, will be used to buy and sell. That's going to be your only trade into the system in the future. So this is, just prepping the people for it. Although you have people that are resisting it at the moment who don't really want to go forward with it, once you tell them they can't buy or sell, which means they can't really eat, that's going to be the real test that a lot of people are going to fail, man. All right, accessing a wide range of services and transactions, from banking and healthcare to social programs and immigration procedures. All right, banking, as I mentioned, healthcare. People won't have access to a doctor, or any type of medical facility without this digital ID, which ultimately will turn into the implantable device. Social programs and immigration procedures. All right, this is how they're going to allow, certain immigrants to stay into the country. And when it says social programs, you can liken that to, all these programs that the Israelites rely on. Food stamps being a big one right now that's, under a threat. So if you tell them, the only way that we can move forward with these food stamps is if you get a digital ID, Jake is going to jump at it, man. And every other nation that's on government assistance, man. It says the government is rolling out the system gradually. All right, you have a term called gradualism, slowly but surely. All right, with a full mandatory rollout for the general public expected to begin in January 2026 and a nationwide enforcement date set for February 2026. An enforcement date meaning them making it mandatory. All right. What the new system entails: biometric integration. The digital curb will include a QR code containing biometric information such as fingerprints and iris scans, along with personal data and a photograph. Says mandatory use will be February 2026. What else? Widespread use. The biometric ID will be necessary for various official procedures, including registering for government programs, assistance, assessing healthcare, completing banking transactions, and verifying identity for an immigration. A man won't be able to buy or sell without it. And this is how they're going to prep the people for the implantable device. All right. It says public and private institutions will be required to update their systems to recognize the use of the new biometric curve for official procedures. All right. Everybody on every level of society. All right. Public and private institutions. All right. So I says you can't buy or sell. So if you're a company that decides, well, we don't want to do this, you basically gonna go out of business. That's just like somebody right now that says they don't accept debit cards. They only accept cash. Well, although cash is still circulating in the system, it's very rare that you see people with large amounts of cash on them to make transactions. So if you weren't willing to move over to accepting debit cards, you will lose a lot of money and go out of business. This is the same thing that's going to happen with the digital ID onto the implantable device, which is the M.O.T.B. mentioned in Revelations. The public rollout scheduled to begin in the top of next year. All right, and a full mandate over there in Mexico is February 2026, man, which isn't far away. All right. So this is an article from biometricupdates.com. Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. Mexico has officially introduced a digital identification system by signing a law that turned the previously optional biometric-based citizen code into a mandatory document for all citizens. Last month, legislators approved amendments to a law related to the 18-character personal identifier known as Unique Population Registry Code, or CURP, with the change formalized on Wednesday through a decree. The mandatory CURP will contain personal and biometric information, including a photograph and a QR code containing biometric fingerprint and iris data. The identifier is expected to be introduced gradually to all Mexicans by February 2026. The government has also allowed the consolidation of the citizens' codes into a single identity platform that will be connected to other state databases and administrative records. According to the decree, the Ministry of the Interior and the Digital Transformation Agency must create a united identity platform within 90 days, while public and private institutions will be required to update their system to recognize the identifier. Like the point I made earlier about going from cash to the debit cards, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. So whether you're a consumer or a seller of a product, you're going to have to accept this digital ID, which once again is just a precursor or a prelude to the M.O.T.B, which is the implantable device. The first CURP was issued in 1996, allowing both citizens and residents to use it in tax filings, company records, schools, passport applications, and other government services. The biometric version of the code began rollout at the beginning of 2025. Privacy advocates, however, have viewed the introduction of mandatory biometric ID with suspicion, raising concerns that the CERP will lead to surveillance and data security issues. The new law, for instance, does not require authorities to inform citizens when their data is being viewed or accessed. And that's the point, that they'll always have tabs on you. It says this puts us in a massive surveillance ecosystem with no provisions to identify wrong use of data, data breaches, identity theft, or acts of corruption. Jose Flores, director of digital rights group R3D, told Context News. CERP also allows Mexico to establish data sharing agreements with other countries, including a deportation deal with the U.S. law enforcement agencies. Rights groups such as Article 19 believe that the ID will give intelligence services access to data without restrictions or transparency. Mexico's national security agencies such as the National Intelligence Centre and the National Guard are amongst government bodies that will gain access to biometric data. The government says that the misuse of sensitive data, including biometrics, is regulated by existing data privacy laws, which doesn't matter. A wiretap can only be approved by a judge according to the Constitution and the law. And that word Constitution being thrown around shouldn't even be taken serious no more, because they don't follow the damn Constitution, man. So the same, what do you want to call it? Paperwork, article, law, which the Constitution is supposed to be, that was written in to ensure your safety and to give you some type of surety, I guess. This shit ain't real no more, man. You know, a wiretap can only be approved by a judge. Yeah. According to the Constitution and the law, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said at the beginning of July, the the unified identity platform will be able to connect to the National Registry of Missing and Unlocated Persons and the National Forensic Data Bank, allowing the country to combat the alarming trend of disappearances, according to the government. And this is all propaganda to try to ease people into it. All right, but this digital ID is just a trial run, man. It's just a precursor to the M.O.T.B that is mentioned in Revelation 13 and 16. All right. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and
scam texts like
the
these,
fuck.
it probably means your data's been leaked. Now, some of you can identify these as scams and delete them.
Shalakia. Revelation 13 and 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. Small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark. The mark being the charagma, which we know is an incision. All right, because the digital ID is not the mark of the beast, but it's a prelude or a precursor to the M.O.T.B, man. All right. The implantable device that will be put in people's hands or in their foreheads, which people have it now. All right, that's the M.O.T.B. But all the similarities, all right, they say you won't be able to buy or sell without the digital ID, can't travel, can't get a passport. These are the same things or the same mandates that's going to be made with the implantable device. All right. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. No man might buy or sell. All right. So that's why you hear about the companies having to adapt to it. You know, they have to change their system to accept it. And the people have to accept it to be able to have an exchange into said system. Buy or sell. All right. So once again, this digital ID is not the M.O.T.B, but it is the precursor, the prelude to it. All right, but I ain't gonna hold you. Hope that video was edifying. Shalom.